Hello. Hello. I can see different people have logged in. I beg your pardon. I don't know what's happening here. Um, uh, can everybody hear me? Hello. Can anyone hear me? Can anyone see me? Riri? What's this? You can hear me. Oh, great. Okay, great. So, so I am wondering what is happening. I am in contact with Riri. Please bear with me. Oh dear Lord, come on. You can't see me you can hear me, Inti. You can hear me, but you can't see me. Okay, Isi, you can see me, Wumi, Nkem. Okay, thank you. Please bear with us. It's technology. Okay, okay. Riri, where are you? You can't see me, but you can hear me. I wonder why you can't see me. Um, okay, okay. She's back now. She's back now. I don't know why you can't hear me. Turn camera off, turn camera on. Well, I don't know what. Okay, can you all see me now? You should be able to, because I can see myself. It looks like Riri is back. Okay.
Hello,
Hi,
Kemi.
Rita. Wow.
I
What
don't know. I'm so sorry about that.
happened?
I've been having challenges with my internet today, so I'm back anyway.
Okay, fantastic. We're back. I've been speaking with everyone. You have a few people on. So if you would like
Okay.
to go ahead, I've introduced you. Yes, everybody can see me. Woo! Okay. So if you want to put on your PowerPoint and let's get to it because I'm eager and I've got pen and paper here. So I'm ready to
Yeah,
take my notes. All right,
right.
we're
So
all
let me
good to
just.
go, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Over
I'm
to you.
sorry about that.
If you would
Hello,
share.
everyone. I'm sorry about that. I'm about to start now, so let's hope that we don't have a technical problem. If there is any problem, then if I'm off away for about 5 minutes, please bear with me. So I'm about to share my screen now. Can you see my screen, Kemi?
I can see your screen. I hope everyone, please type in there. Let me know that you can see her screen, um, so that I can mute myself. If they can see me, then they can see your screen.
Okay. Shall I
I'm going
start?
to mute myself now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry about the power cut. So let me start. So I'm starting today with the power of the media, and by the end of this session, I want you to feel more confident about the media, using the media to build your brand. Now, before I go into my slides, into the main detail, I just wanted to remind everybody, which you probably already know, what the aim of the media is. The aim of the media industry. And most of them, it's to enrich people's lives, to provide great content, to educate us about what is happening in the world. I mean, if we don't watch the news, we wouldn't know what's going on in other places. The aim of the media industry is also to inform us, and to inform us in a creative way so that we don't get bored or we don't switch off. Now, the way the media operates is that they actually run by audiences. So the more people that plug into them, the more advertisers or the more commercial slots they'll get. So even though sometimes the media do use subscriptions as revenue, they mainly use advertising or commercials. So what I'm really saying is that information, content, good stories is the lifeblood of the media. That is what the media need from us. If we're partnering with the media, they need information. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today are different media channels that you can partner with, starting with television, radio, magazines, and newspapers. These are what we call traditional media. But as you all know, social media is also another channel that we get information. So between the two of them, that's what I'll be concentrating on this evening. The topics that I'm going to be talking about are why you need the media, what the media need from you, how to make the most of the media, when to use the media, and so we as business owners need the media. We need them to get larger audiences. For example, if I'm trying to get people just on my own without them, I would have to send out emails and do all that. But if I went on a television show and for a 15-minute spot talked about my brand, you can imagine how many audiences that would reach. So we need the media for larger audiences. We also need the media for brand recognition. The more people get to know our brand, they get to trust us, they get to like us. So the media helps us with brand recognition. And as you know, anytime you are on the media, like if you're on the radio or TV, if you're in a magazine or a newspaper, it gives your brand credibility. And then because it gives your brand credibility, it helps position us as experts. And then at the bottom line, what is in it for us as business owners? The media helps us generate business. So I'm going to give you a scenario of two business owners. And because I'm in the creative industry, I've kind of made this as a story, but I hope that you will understand what I'm talking about. Now, I have two people called Gemma and Lee. They both own a business, a beauty shop, and they both started in 2015. Gemma opened a beauty shop and she invited her friends and family to the launch. She invited 5 journalists. She set up a Facebook with her questions about her beauty shop. Video, probably about for 4 times in that year. She sent out press releases to her media contacts, and she built a media list of about 100 contacts. She also did press releases, and she got published in about 5 dailies. These are newspapers that appear every day. And she appeared on some TV shows to discuss her beauty range. And she got a popular magazine, and she also got a slot as a columnist. Lee, on the other hand, she was quite media shy. She said she didn't want any media. She wanted to she opened a beauty shop at the same time as Gemma. She invited her friends and family to the launch. She calls her friends on a regular basis to come into her shop and buy her products. She takes her beauty products wherever she goes because, people are busy, so they don't often come into her shop. And she attends beauty conferences to get more information about the industry. And she distributes her flyers all over town. And she goes to offices sometimes to sell her products. Now, what do you think? Between Gemma and Lee, at the end of 2015, how do you think they fared financially? So let's look. Oh, look at Gemma. Gemma has made more profit. And how about Lee? These are scenarios, but this really does happen to some of my clients that are very, media shy. Sometimes they don't want to have that exposure, and at the end of the year, they find out that they haven't really driven as much audiences as they would like. And as we as business owners know, it's a numbers game, because the more people that get to know us, the more people that get to see our products and buy our products, the more profit we make. So it is a numbers game, and it's the same with the media. We have to get as much media exposure as possible. So now let's look at what the media need from us. Well, as you all know, the media need great stories. They need great stories that increases their audiences. Because if they have great stories, it brings audiences back to their programs, back to their radio shows. And, when you see something that's very exciting on TV, you want to tell your friends, and it keeps them in business. And that's what the media is about. They need grabbing headlines. They need stories that grab their audience. So we need to give that to them. But we also need to keep our stories short. The media need prompt response because, as somebody that has worked in the media for a long time, I know that we work under tight deadlines. There's a lot of schedules going on. So if a media correspondent calls you up and says, I need that, you need to give them the story. You need to have everything ready because they work under very tight deadlines. Another thing that the media need from us is they need to know that we know, we've done a lot of our research. We know that they're the right target audience. We've read their articles. We've watched them on TV. And you can do that by visiting their websites before sending your material, so that when you do send your pitch, you're customizing it to their audience. Another thing that the media need from us is good visuals. Anything that will keep your story in the memory of the editor. Because as you know, the media, they get a lot of emails coming in, up to about 1,000 emails a day. So you need to send them good visuals that will make sure that they keep you in their memory. And also, I also tell my clients not to send snapshots. Invest in a professional photographer who can take good photographs, especially for print and for newspaper magazines. That's magazines and newspapers. They need high resolution photos. And then the media need experience. You may say, well, I don't really have experience. Even if you don't have experience, the knowledge that I'm giving you today will hopefully help you. So that because the media are very busy and they work under tight deadlines, they don't want to keep going back and forth with questions from you. So you really need to have done your research so that you can give them all the information that they require. The media also like celebrity tie-ins. So sometimes when you're sending your stories, connect your story to a well-known celebrity that the public love. Because as we know, the media like to use stories about celebrities. But I will just advise that you do get endorsements. Don't just write about celebrities without getting endorsements from them. And you can get that through their PR agents. Another thing that the media need is a pleasant attitude. Remember, we're in partnership with the media and we need them to increase our audiences so that we can get profit. So there's no point in getting rude with a media correspondent and saying to them, where is my proposal? When is it going to be published? We have to have a pleasant attitude with the media. Now let me just go through all the things that the media need from us again. We need to feed the media, remember, with information. So we need to give them good stories, good releases. We need to act quickly. We need to do our research to make sure that we're targeting the right media house. We need to give them great visuals, great photos. As much as possible, let our stories have any celebrity tie-ins, because we know that audiences like hearing about celebrities. We need a bit of experience, or at least research, to know what the media want from us. And we need to have a good attitude. So I hope that all helps you in knowing what the media require from us. Now let's go on to see what makes stories newsworthy. What, as I said, the media get in a lot of information from us, a lot of emails coming in. So when they go through their inbox, what do you think makes good newsworthy stories? First of all, they're going to say to themselves, does it appeal to my audience? If I have a magazine about beauty products and you're sending me information about healthcare, I'm going to think to myself, does this story really appeal to my audience? They want to know whether the news is timely. Did it happen recently? I always say that to my clients. Don't send me stories that have happened a month or two ago. The media wants stories that are happening today, this week. How local is it? Is it really local, national, or international? Some of these media outlets want to have information that is local to them. Does it have a hook? Does it have a question? Does it keep everybody in suspense? Is there a prominent figure in the news story? Is there any celebrity that you're talking about that is helping with your... Does it actually give the public interest? Does it impact them? Sometimes we send information out, but it's all about our features and not about the benefits of our products. Does it impact society? Is there anything about your story that is unusual? These are all questions that the media correspondent or the editor will be after. And they also like facts and figures. So as much as possible, do surveys to back up your stories. So these are the items that make journalists or the editor say, oh yes, I want to write about these. I hope you've taken these notes down. Now we're going to look at why sometimes stories are not published. Now sometimes stories, you can write a good story, but it might not just be newsworthy for this moment in time. It's not that your story is not good, but it may just not be newsworthy. Again, you may send in an article and it just doesn't appeal to the target audience that you're pitching. It doesn't appeal to the radio station or the TV channel or the newspaper. Maybe you're even pitching to the wrong person. You haven't actually found the right journalist or reporter to actually speak to. Sometimes it's not published because there's no follow-up. I've had to call correspondents or media journalists so many times before sometimes my article gets published. And I don't take it personally. I just know that it's just the way that their job works. They're inundated. So I can't wait for them. I have to follow up. And sometimes I haven't done, or you may have not done enough research on trending news, what's happening right now. So bear all these in mind about your stories and be persistent. Even if they don't publish this time, they may still publish next month. So what I'm going to go on to next is how to make the most of media. And I'm going to start with magazines. Now there are a lot of magazines in the market out there, and you have to find the one that suits your product. So look for trade magazines. Research the content of the magazines. Look through them to see if they appeal to what you are selling. Send in your pitch and send sample work of what you've had published before, if you've had anything published. Even if you haven't had anything published, send photos. What I've done with the journalists from the magazine industry is I've built relationships. So I often call them every now and again. I ask them questions about what's going on in their industry, so that way when I have a story, I have something to offer them. And then, it's all about partnership and relationship. So you can also give them information. But with magazines do work on strict deadlines. So you need to find out what they are before you send in your stories. Now let's move on to newspapers. So again, target the correct section. A lot of newspapers and magazines will have the editor's email address inside them, so find out their email address. Send a press release. A press release is a written document to the newspapers, and what I often find is that they actually like stories that have grabbing headlines. So you have to know about press releases and what the newspaper editor would require. Again, just like magazines, build relationships with newspaper editors and follow up. I can't really emphasize that enough, because they're so busy. You do have to keep following up on the information that you send them. Again, feed them with information and have discussions with them, asking them what they require. You can actually build up relationships with journalists on Twitter, and you can reshare their tweets. And sometimes you can ask to be a contributor, send an article every now and then. That's worked for me. So I'm going to go on now to coverage on TV and radio. So if you want to get on TV and radio for your product, research the program, see what the program is about, and then send in a news release. And then in that news release, you can provide visuals, especially if you've been on TV before, and be available for TV or radio, because time in there is everything. And make sure that you have all your information ready, because the TV or radio channel can just phone you in an instant and say, we want you to come tomorrow. And sometimes, you can offer exclusive to that channel. They find that, that's loyalty if you say, oh, I'm just going on your channel for this program. And then follow the rules of TV and radio. So if they say to you, don't plug your company on our show, if you do that, then you won't get called back. Now, I want to give you a case study of success of somebody that has used the TV. Now, this person writes quarterly reports, financial quarterly reports for real estate. And then we've pitched to a targeted channel, and that's a business channel in Africa. And then because we've built up a relationship and the person has gone on TV quite a few times, they've built a reputation as a thought leader. And so they've been called back on a few occasions to come and speak about their topic of interest. And that's been excellent. They've got great brand exposure for this. And they've also generated new clients through media exposure. And because of this, they've also used, the program as a marketing tool for their clients. And they've got website and they've got speaking engagement through it. So you can say things like, when you've been on TV or radio, you can say, as seen on. Now, the person happens to be my husband, Mr. Munachi Okoye. So, as I said, he has had success with going on TV, and the TV has helped his brand and exposed him into further markets. Another way you can, use the media, the power of the media to build your brand, is to be a columnist, become a columnist. So you can write for them, write a column, and when you write a column, it grows your community, depending on what you're talking about. It increases your profile as somebody that really has knowledge on the topic. And then you become a thought leader on issues. And then that increases your influence in your community. And also, occasionally you may get offered for speaking engagements, which also increases your brand. And it brings in business, which we as business owners are really after. And I have had success because I write for the Guardian newspaper on Saturday, and it's not really to do with my main business, but I'm passionate about raising confident girls. But I've had a lot of exposure because I have a column with the Guardian in Nigeria. Now, this is what we call a media toolbox, and it's something that you really need to have handy for your media exposure. So inside your media toolbox, you'll have things like your company history, personal biography, suggested questions, because there may be some questions that you want the media to ask you rather than them just asking you questions out of the blue. Make sure you have your articles and any appearances that you've been on. Make sure in that media kit that you also have brochures and newspaper clippings of any media exposure that you've had. Have good quality photos. Make sure that you have your business cards in that media toolbox, and testimonials from your customers and any giveaways. But this is not what you send on the first call. This is normally what you send. This is not what you send on the first email. This is normally what you send once the media have called you back. Please bear that in mind. Now with the media, you also need to build relationships. So you send a first email to them, and then you can also build relationships by asking your friends for contacts. A lot of my friends have contacts in the media, and I'm sure a lot of your friends do too. Go to events and build rapport. I find that when I go to industry events, there's a lot of press around there. So I look for them because they normally would have a name tag that says press. So I get in touch with them, I call them often, I build a relationship by asking them about their industry and ask them what's trending. And then that way it keeps them in your memory. And I've built a few relationships like that. Some of them are on my Twitter, they're Twitter friends. Some of them are on WhatsApp with me. And even a few of them are on Facebook. So I call them from time to time and build relationships. So what I would say to you as a business owner is don't shy away from the media. Because as I have narrated to you, stories are seen as credible by your target audience. And it leads to, massive exposure for your brand. And because the media have a lot of audiences, it takes shorter time to get to your market than if you were to go about it yourself. It leads to more publicity. And then sometimes other journalists start using your information. I just remember a client recently who came to Nigeria to launch a product, and we did a lot of media exposure for her. But what we also found was that other media sources that we hadn't communicated were writing about her too. So remember, it's a numbers game, and so go everywhere and don't limit yourself. So the next slide I'm going to talk about is when to use the media. There are so many instances when you can use the media, especially if you're launching out into business or you haven't gained that media exposure yet. Just have a press conference. Invite about 5 journalists to that press conference. You can have a product launch and invite them there. What about if you have an annual event, and maybe you own a shop and you want to have a grand opening, invite the media to that. If there are any announcements, you can send that to the media, and fantastic customer testimonials about how well your product did. You may also want to use the media as an extension of a product that you hadn't mentioned before, or a location move. So there's so many ways that you can use the media. And as I mentioned before, if you're going to have a press conference, you may want to have a checklist of all the things you need for a press conference. So you need a conference room. It doesn't have to be in a hotel or anything, just anywhere quiet where you can have questions and answers. Make sure that you have all your brand material, you have your brochures and any type of reports. Make sure you have your product information and press releases about your product. You can also give the media questions and answers, questions that you want them to ask you with answers, and then a media kit, as I explained before. Have very good quality photographs for them, and have refreshments. This is optional, but I know in Lagos when we do press conferences here, we do give the media, refreshments, but that is optional, depending on where you live in the world. Now what I would say is that whatever you are using the media for, have an annual strategy. So spot opportunities to create stories for your business. So maybe you may want to create stories once a month, and then maybe you want to go on TV every quarter, or go on the radio every quarter. You have to have a campaign for at least 6 months to actually see the benefits of a media campaign. And as I've mentioned to you before, think like a journalist, and that is what they think about, is having great stories. And make sure that your campaign is consistent. And then the thing about it is that if all of this is overwhelming to you, you can always outsource and get professionals like myself that do, publicity for clients with media exposure all the time. So warning I want to say is that media relations is not a quick fix. It's something that you have to build over time. You have to build relationships, and even with your audience, the more they read about you, the more they trust you, the more credibility that you build to your brand. Now we've talked about a lot of things, but we have to discuss here where to find the media. Now a lot of them are in their publications. If you look at their magazines or in the newspapers, you'll see an editor's email address. You'll also find them in their offices, or if you check on their websites, you can call them. As I mentioned before, ask your friends about where the media may be. They may be on Twitter, or they also may be on LinkedIn. And build a media list, because it's a numbers game, and you can add them to your database with the typical things: name, company address, any additional details. When you build a relationship with them, you might start getting information about their birthday. So when it's their birthday, you can just send them a message. But constantly update, because one thing about the media is, especially journalists, they do change around a few times. So you have to keep updating your media lists. Now, what I'm going to talk about now is social media. What I've been talking about before is traditional media, but I'm now going to move on to social media. And a lot of us are on social media as business owners, and I want to talk to you right now about the benefits. As we all know, a lot of social media is inexpensive, so there's no reason why a business owner should not have something like a Facebook page, should not be on all avenues of social media. It creates large audiences, as we know. For example, Facebook has 500 million users, and you can imagine how many audiences you're trying to target. So if Facebook has 500 million users, every business owner should have a Facebook account as a business. The benefits is that you can interact with audience. With traditional media, if you send an article to a newspaper, you don't really know what the reaction is going to be unless somebody sends a message to the newspaper article saying how fantastic it was. But normally on social media, you can get that instantly. And the results are fast because it's on social media. And then you can even target the type of, for your campaigns, you can target your market. And we all know how fantastic it is with even building brand awareness with things like hashtags, and the results are measurable because there are things on there that can help us track results very quickly. And then that way we can take immediate action. We can change things over. We can put a post in that attracts more audience. And at the bottom line, we get clients, which leads to profit. I want to say that I've been using social media, especially Facebook, for my business in the last quarter, and I will say that 50 to 60% of my business has been attracted from Facebook alone. So that is how powerful it is. And I'm not just getting clients in Nigeria, I'm getting clients all over the world. So I would say that if you're not doing it right now, do use all the different channels that you can for your marketing. Now, there is a debate going on about whether traditional media is declining. It's debatable. I would say that it's still very powerful. And then, there are a lot of people going to social media. So you can use the opportunity to tap into traditional media if you think that more people in your country are going to social media. But I would say keep using both and keep your ears and eyes open on what's happening in the news. And for us as business owners and marketers, we have to keep testing to see what works. So if you're using magazines, radio, TV, newspapers, and it's working for you, keep using it. If you're using social media and that's working for you, keep using it. Or use both of them like I do. I use traditional media and I use social media, and they are both working for me. Another way to get media exposure and to use the power of the media is become a guest blogger. In the last 3 weeks, I've been on about 2 different blogs. I've talked about my relocation back to Nigeria. I've talked about fashion on a blog site. So that's another way to get media exposure, because some of these blog sites, they have a lot of audience and they have your target market. So you can become a guest there. So you can also source journalists. A lot of journalists are online now, and you can find them on LinkedIn. You can Google them. There are a lot on Google. Follow the journalists on Twitter. You can also read their articles. Read their articles online. And then by doing that, just create a list of journalists and build up your rapport and build up the relationship that I talked about before with journalists. And promote your website to social media. Anything that you update on your website, whether it's events, whether it's blogs, whether it's testimonials about clients, promote them on social media. And remember, online publicity, you really have to push a lot of exposure as much as you can. So make sure that all your media coverage is on your websites, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google. The more visibility for your brand on social media, the better for you. Maximize everything. Post all press releases to social media. Share links of any stories that are happening with your business. Post them to all aspects of your social media. Share all your business successes like awards, any video testimonials from clients, customers saying how great your products are. Put that on social media. And ask your friends to share photos. Tag all your photos to do with business. And then tweet regularly so that you get a following. Share your photos on Instagram. Put the share button on your blog. But with all this, you have to maximize and you have to be consistent. So don't share one story one week and then for 6 months you stop. Be consistent all the time, because the more people hear about you, the more people know about you, then it puts you in their minds and it makes them draw to you for business. And that is what we all want as business owners. So on social media, you actually become the media. You become the go-to person because people trust you, they like you, and they understand your product. So that's on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus. There are many more that I haven't mentioned here, but there are so many. Another way to expose your brand is to go on social media groups. I'm on a fantastic one at the moment, and that's brought a lot of business for me. And then also go on discussion forums so that people can see that you're an expert in your industry. So you, as I said before, you become the media. So finally, just to wrap up, don't accept rejection from the media. Just remember to follow up, follow up, follow up. I can't emphasize that enough. Sometimes I've had to follow up about 8 times before my article is published. But I understand, I've mentioned to you before that the media are working under tight deadlines. Send reminders of, every now and again. You don't have to bombard them every day, but if you haven't heard from them in 2 to 3 or 4 days, then, send them a polite email. Keep nudging the media. Just keep at it. Call them back, follow up. I keep emphasizing this because I know that if you're not used to the media, if you send them information, a press release once and you don't hear from them, you think to yourself, well, that's it. But no, with the media, you just have to keep following up. It's just the nature of the industry. They're so busy, and sometimes they may have seen your article and thought, wow, this is fantastic, and then they get breaking news. They get a story that just, they have to stop everything and get to that story. So don't take it personally. Now, I have a few don'ts of what you shouldn't do with the media. So don't say anything that you don't want published. Sometimes some of my clients say to me, oh, I don't want to go on the media because they may say things about my brand or my products. And I say to them, well, don't say anything that you don't want the media to know. Don't tell them. Don't say things like, oh, another channel or another magazine is going to publish me, or the competition has already covered it. Because if you say that, then the media switch off instantly. A lot of them want your stories firsthand. When you're sending press releases, don't send long press releases. 1 page is enough. And don't ask if you can review or edit the story before it's published. Make sure that what you've said is you're happy with it and just send it to them, because more than likely you won't get it back. Now, what should you do? Send newsworthy items to the right audience, as I keep mentioning. It's all about targeting the right media outlet for your brand. Respond quickly when they want information from you. Remember, I said that they're working under tight deadlines, so you need to send your information as fast and as quickly as possible. And be mindful of their deadlines, especially when you're working with radio and TV. And include as much information as you can. Include links of published information that you've had before. Just, as I said with the media kit, send them a lot of information. Build relationships with the media. Don't just call them when you want something published. when you build a relationship with somebody, that means that maybe you just call them once a month, ask them how it's going in their industry, what's going on. So that way, it's not just, oh, you just want to call them to publish your, story. You're actually building a relationship, and it becomes a partnership. Remember, I said before to be professional, to always have a good attitude, and to remember your manners, to say thank you and please to them. And when we do that, then they take a liking to us, and then they'll want to publish our stories again because they think, oh, this person has a good attitude, and follow up nicely. So what I would like to say to you again is that with all the information that I've spoken to you about, we as business owners, we're business owners, and we're in business to make profit, and we're in business to create a lot of audiences. And for that matter, when we're dealing with the media, we have to think like a journalist, but we act like a business owner. And thinking like a journalist means getting great stories so that we get large audiences. So I hope that the information that I've given you, I hope you feel more confident about using the media to build your brand. Now I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to tell you about an offer that I want to give you. Hello, Kemi? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I've come to the end of my presentation.
Thank you. That was amazing. That really
Okay.
was amazing. Why don't you share the offer with us, please?
Well, the offer I'm giving is I'm just giving a free report on how to get your press release published. Because I know that, especially if you're new to that industry, there are some certain key points that you need to bear in mind with the media. And the article that I'm going to give you is all the information, the tips on how to get your story out there so that you can start, building that awareness with your target audience.
Fantastic. So when we talked, everyone, what you need to do to get this report is to email. I'm going to type it in here into the chat box. Email info at bear with me, majesticallyrare.com.
Somebody asked me a question.
Yeah, I'm coming to the question. So
Okay.
info at majesticallyrare.com. All you have to do is to send her an email, subject line, put on the subject line, press release offer. Press release offer. So you would like to email info at majesticallyrare.com with the subject line press release offer. Yes, really, we have a few questions.
Yes.
Lavelle asks, how do you know when you are media ready?
Well, when you know your media ready is to think like a journalist and to make sure that you have stories that are not very promotional, but stories that impact your community. So maybe you're giving tips about how to do something rather than you promoting your brand. Oh, Majestically Rare, promoting my brand as a feature. I'm saying, no, I'm a consultant. I'm helping my audience penetrate into the market. So I'm not talking about my brand. I'm talking about the benefits and what I can give to the audience.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I hope that answered your question, Lovelda. There is another one from Nkem. She says, I have a startup business, which is an online shoe store by name shoesbynkem.com. How do I go about launching my business in the media world without putting a huge hole in my pocket?
Yes, well, the thing about online is that it's fantastic in that there are a lot of, if she does a lot of research, she'll find online bloggers, especially she has to target her market. So if it's an online shoe store, she needs to start doing some research about which online websites have that type of audience. And you find that when you are dealing with online, it's normally actually free. She doesn't really have to pay anything. So I would say that she needs to do research, find out about find out whether there are any larger audiences that have something for her, and then go about it that way. But they are normally free. A lot of the thing about the media is that they want the content. It's up to us as business owners to do the research. They do want our stories, but they want stories that fit their audience.
Lavelda says, thank you very much. The answer you gave her helps about knowing when you're media ready. But I have a question. I don't see any other questions. But if you do have one, please ask. We have a few minutes to go.
Okay.
Riri, how do you know the media's audience? How do you know the newspaper's audience, the TV's audience? How is that research, or do we build relationships with the journalists there and they begin to tell us the kind of audience? How do we know?
It's a mixture of both
Okay.
doing the research and asking the audience, I mean, asking the journalists. So I think it's both. But I think that, when you do the research, you will find a lot of that information by just reading the articles and knowing. For example, if you pick up a magazine, you can look through it and see whether, you can see other articles in there and whether they relate to your product, whether they relate, for example, for yourself for coaching. So just do research. Google has a lot of information now. So we can find out information just by even Googling the type of magazines, going into shops, looking through them to see if there are a target audience. And then once we get information, we can then start communicating and asking journalists, looking through doing the research first and then asking the journalists. It's a mixture of both of them, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Do we have any other questions? Because I think this has been so useful, particularly for me. It has
Okay.
been incredibly useful. I'm just starting a few projects now,
The
and
thing about it is the media don't bite. People, they do get put off. They think, oh, the media is only about celebrity news. It's not. The media, as I said to you before, is about information. They won't, been used, I know I'm from a media background, but it's been incredible how much exposure the media can give you once you are confident that, and with all the tips I gave you before, when you have all that information, there's nothing to fear. If you have a product, you want it out there. You don't just want it to be with your friends. You want it to be with, the whole world, so that, well, not the whole world, but with your target audience, so that you get more business and people start buying from you.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Riri. This has been
Um,
really helpful. I have just put up a link up there. I hope everyone can see it. That is the link you need to actually get these 10 webinars, which are all an hour each, for $1 for the first 30 days, and also allows you to be able to buy it for 37, I believe. Let me just check my notes here. $37 after that. Usually it will be $97, but if you go to this link now and you make your purchase for $1, I believe it's available now. If it's not, then it will be later, but I think it is. You can actually just go for it now. And so when we're all done, everything you've purchased and everything we've done, the 10 webinars will be emailed onto you. Thank you so much, Riri. You are
you're
a
welcome.
wealth of information. I
You're
wish you
welcome.
owned a newspaper, a magazine, a TV station, a radio station. I'll come directly to you. But I think the
Okay.
best part for me was, oh, we have one more question. The best part for me was how you said we should build relationships. And
Yeah.
another good part for me is where you said the media want our story.
They do. They do. They're always
I
looking for
remember once
content.
they came to our church and they were telling us they wanted this now and they wanted it by 3 o'clock tomorrow. And I
Yeah.
said, that's too quick. They didn't give us information. I did not understand that that's the media world. Let me
Yes.
quickly
They
ask
do want.
Lovelda's question. Do you have to enjoy writing in order to engage with the media?
To a certain degree, you do. You do have to be quite creative. Yes, you do have to, because it's about thinking out of the box. It's not just sending them direct stories. It's about making your business creative. So sometimes what you can do, if it's not something that you're used to, sometimes you just have to block everybody and just have a blank sheet and brainstorm. You'll be surprised at what you come up with. But you do have to sort of take yourself off from the business node and just think of yourself as a story writer and think, how what you're trying to do is you're trying to educate your audience in a creative way. And if it's something that you're not used to, you can just start reading articles and seeing the way journalists write themselves. And it doesn't actually, with the media, it's not also just about writing. What about going on the radio? You might be a good speaker. Writing may not be your thing. So you may want to go on TV. Because what I find is that, just like with the print industry, the TV channels and radio, they're also looking for content too. So you'll be surprised that, if you go to the BBC, wherever you are in the world, you'll be surprised that they need your content. So if writing is not for you, then maybe you may think about TV or radio, and just going on as a guest speaker and speaking about issues related to your product that are that you're passionate about.
Saleh, you're asking how can I get a coupon in order to get the MP3 file? You need a coupon. I do not think that we're giving out coupons, but if you go for it right now, you will be able to get it for $1. You will be able to get it for $1. But what I can do is, if you could email me here, so that I can answer that question properly, just in case I do not get you. But let me add coachkemi.com. If you could email me at contact@coachkemi.com. If any of you have any other questions, Saleh, please contact me, so that I'll make sure I've given you the information you need. Lavelda goes, "Oh girl, I can speak. I do like a bit of TV." So I guess Lavelda will be saying to you, contact TVs. And I'm sure Riri is available for consultation and all that kind of stuff. We're all in one group. So get all the help you can. I was also going to say to you, Lavelda, there are people in our coaching group that love to write. I'm one of them. We could write it up for you. You don't have to do what you don't enjoy, but you do what you do enjoy. Thank you so much, Riri.
Thank you, Kemi Coach.
This has been incredible. You have been incredible. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So everyone, thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of this. We really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you at the next webinar at 10 p.m. UK time. Thank you so much. Okay then. Bye, Riri. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.